Good morning, all. Today we are going to start new topic is micropropagation. Before starting, we will see the what is micropropagation and how it is important. When we are taking a very small part of the plant, like in the micrometer in diameter, so that micrometer diameter part, if we will propagate inside the in vitro condition, and through that part we can able to produce callus, or directly if we will can able to generate the shoots. So that technique we are calling micropropagation. So normally in nature we will see the plant can able to propagate using these two method. First one is the sexual method, and through sexual method the plant have the flower, and inside the flower we know that they are having the stamen and the ovary, and stamen is able to produce the male gametes, and the ovary can able to produce the female gametes, and these male and female gametes they are having the n number of and haploid cells they are basically. So these haploid cells can able fertilize, and they can able to produce the embryos. So these male and female cells can able to fertilize, and they can able to produce the embryos, and these embryos can able to mature into the seeds, and these seeds can able to germinate as a whole. So from the plant propagation, sexual reproduction is a part where the male and female gametes can able to fertilize, and they can able to produce the embryos, and through embryos these seeds will be germinate, and these seeds can able to germinate into the a whole new plant. So this is a type of propagation. Then asexual type of propagation also plant is doing, and various methods is there, and one is cutting method, second one is grafting methods, third one is layer and suckers, they are doing propagation, and fourth method which is micropropagation, which we are utilizing inside the laboratory condition. Now if you will see the cuttings, the plants portion like stems or twig, we can able to cut it, and those cutting we can able to put inside the soil, and so that those cutting can able to regenerate as a whole plant. So we are calling cutting method. If a plant species which is having good characteristics, and we are using some plant material like stem cells and stem graft, and these stem graft if we will put on some wild type of variety of same species, and they can able to propagate on any plant, and those plants can able to then be, and they have a very good quality of like where the graft is taken. Through grafting technique we can able to improve the plants, and then the new plants which will be improved, and they can able to produce new type of fruits and vegetables and flowers. Then layers and suckers is there, and mainly uh, the poaceae family they are doing these type of reproduction, and layers and suckers they can, through these suckers they can able to propagate, and they can able to generate new plants. Then another method, micropropagation, is also a type of propagation method. Through this method, micro portion of the plant material we are taking inside the in vitro condition, and we will media, and through this media we can able to propagate it. Using micro diameter part of the plant, we can able to propagate. The next, the micropropagation is the art of the science for multiplying the plant cells or tissues inside the in vitro condition. And through in vitro condition, when we will propagate plant cells and tissues, it will convert into the multifold numbers of the plants. So through micropropagation, we can able to these cells and tissues into the n number of plants. Now, it is the micropropagation is a rapid clonal in vitro propagation of plant, and we are utilizing for this purpose cells and tissues and organ, and aseptically we have to culture it on the defined media, basically Russia and spoon media we are utilizing, and for producing callus and direct shooting we have to give the phytohormone concentration, and these defined media containing the phytohormone we can use to propagate these cells and tissues under the control environment. And because we are using a control environment, that's why we have to provide the light and temperature. When we are doing the explant, when we are culturing the explant, so when we are taking explant from the shoot tip or leaf of the stem or axillary bud or root tip we can also take. So these all part when we are taking for the culture purpose we are calling explant. So these explant can be utilized for many part of the plant and can be able to propagate as an entire plant. So in vitro condition we have to utilize to propagate these explants, and these explants can able to propagate into a healthy plant. So virtually any part of the plant we can take and we can propagate as a healthy plant. Now next one term is there totipotency. We already discussed this totipotency. So totipotency is a capacity of a cell to give rise to an entire organism. So from one single cell we can able to convert or we can able to convert into the n number of plants, and this capacity of a plant cell we are calling totipotency, and it is a very specific characteristic of the plant cell. So a plant cell can able to produce n number of plants, and this is only found in the plants. And using this capacity only we are producing the entire plant from a single cell. So in micropropagation also we are taking a single cell or a group of tissues, and from the single cell and group of tissue we are either producing the callus or we can either produce the shooting. And shoots and callus, through that we can able to propagate entire population of plants, and these plants can able to be clone of that cells. The genomic organization of these plants can it will be similar to the cell also. So if you will see the plant which is having genetic organization of the cell, same cell which it was produced, so because of the totipotency of the cell. So it is a very special characteristic of the plant cells, and through this capacity they can able to propagate into the entire plants. Now micropropagation application. So using micropropagation we can able to propagate into the multiple novel type of plants, and through single cells or tissues we can able to propagate n number of plants, and those plant cells can be more genetically modified, and you can able to breed or have you can able to produce hybrid plant, and hybridization also you can do inside the laboratory condition, and through this genetically modified and hybridization technique you can able to propagate as a multiple novel plants. And micropropagation also useful for a sufficient number of plantlet for planting from a stock solution, and which these type of plant cannot able to reproduce or propagate inside the natural condition. So we can take those plants which can't able to propagate properly inside the natural condition, so that we can able to generate stock plants, and these stock plants can able to give the farmers or growers so that they will be benefited. Then these plants cannot be respond well to vegetative reproduction when we are doing inside the nature. So the plant which is not responded properly inside the nature, we can take it and we can able to use the in vitro conditions so that we can able to propagate properly or efficient. Now two terms is there, micropropagation and macropropagation. If we are taking the plant explant in the micrometer scale, we are calling micropropagation. From that small part in the micrometer we are propagating into the n number of plants. So micropropagation, if we are taking the plant or explant in the larger proportion or larger piece, we are calling the micropropagation. If we are doing micropropagation, the condition should be very aseptic. Where in the micropropagation, the condition should not be compulsory to produce the non-aseptic condition, and non-aseptic condition also we can utilize to propagate the macro propagation. Then in micro propagation, environment should be controlled, and the light and humidity and temperature, you always have to give control environment. So in the control environment condition, micro propagation will be happen. But if you will see the macro propagation, less environment control is there, and from the less environmental control we can able to propagate plant. And photoautotrophic growth is there in the macro propagation, and in the macro propagation phototrophic condition, plant portion which we are growing inside the macro propagation, that plant portion can able to propagate and through the autotrophic condition, and we don't need to provide too much complex type of media. Just basic type of media we can able to provide inside the macro propagation. Then in micro propagation, rapid multiplication is happening. Means the plant cells or tissues which we are utilizing for micro propagation purpose, it will rapidly multiply, and when it will be rapidly multiply, it can able to give very good quality plant material. So through micro propagation, rapid propagation technique, we can utilize so that we can able to get things very fast and number of plants through micro propagation. Then if we will compare with the micropropagation, the micropropagation is very slow, and the multiplication of the cells inside the micropropagation, it is little bit slow compared to micropropagation. Then in micropropagation, greater initial cost is there since we are providing control environment, media, and the laboratory cost also there, and we required very effective or experienced hand to produce the micropropagation, whereas the micropropagation it don't require that much cost, and it require nominal cost only. So if you will see the micropropagation and macropropagation, so many differences there, and these differences we have to decide on what type of species we have to utilize for micropropagation, and what species we have to do micropropagation. How we have to do micropropagation inside the laboratory? So we are dividing into the 4 stages, and first one is the establishment, and through establishment we can establish the explant inside the laboratory condition, and when it will be established, it will be multiplied, and it will go inside the second stage, which is multiplication. So if plant cells or tissues, when they will start multiplication and they will adjust the laboratory condition, so they will develop either into the callus or they can multiply into the shooting. And we have to pre-transplant cultured callus and shoots, so that these pre-transplant can able to produce the further callus also we can able to produce through callus, or when we are having multiple shoot induction, so these multiple shoot we can able to separate into the rooting media or multiple shoot production media, or when we can able to produce roots from the shoots, so that we can able to get the plant plates. And callus also we can able to treat for the multiple shooting, so that the from callus we can able to get the plant plates. Then these culture we can able to transfer from the another type of culture, means shooting we are producing rooting, and from the callus we can able to produce the shooting and rooting. So these different stages is there, and we will discuss these stages in detail. So establishment also divided into 2 parts: selection of the explant and initiation and aseptic culture of the establishment. So first technique is selection of explant, where in the selection procedure what we are doing, we are selecting the explant which to be used inside the micropropagation. So selection of the explant is a very crucial part, where we have to select a young healthy explant or a suitable plant for the micropropagation. And when we are selecting the explant, many things we have to consider. It is not easy steps, and always we have to select the suitability of the explant, because if we will select unsuitable explant, then it will hamper the ultimate final result. So when you are selecting the explant, you have to choose the young explant, healthy explant, and the explant should be in the good environment, and the explant should be free from the waste and any type of weeds. And another thing is that the explant should not be in the stressful condition. If the plants is growing in the nature and in a healthy environment it is growing, so it will be stress free. And if we are using stress free plant in the laboratory condition, and we are taking the explant from the stress free, the plant can be performed very well inside the laboratory condition. These stress less plant, if we are taking explant, they will go very well inside the laboratory conditions. Then next, second type of establishments and initiation and aseptic culture of establishment. So when we are taking the explant in the early hour, these explant can able to give very good result. And we have to take in the sterile distilled water from the nature, and when we will bring, we have to first wash with the sterile distilled water. When we are washing with the sterile distilled water inside the laboratory, so that dust and the microparticle present on the these excellent, it will be washed away. Then we have to take inside these laminar airflow bench, and inside the laminar airflow bench we have to create the surface sterilization. So when we are doing surface sterilization procedure for initial and aseptic culture environment, so what we have to do, we have to first wash with the aseptically inside the laminar airflow bench, and first we will wash with the ethanol, 100% ethanol for 1 to 2 minutes, so that the bacteria and fungi molecule, fungi spores and the cells, vegetative cells present, bacteria and fungi, vegetative cells, they will die very easily. So with the treatment of 100% ethanol, we can able to easily kill these microorganisms present on the surface. Then we have to wash the explant with the sterile distilled water 2 to 3 times, and when we are washing with the sterile distilled water for one, and we again 2 to 3 times, so the ethanol in the surface of the explant, it will be washed up. Then we have to use the mercury chloride, HgCl2, and the 0.1% solution we have to prepare it for the surface sterilization purpose. And this mercury chloride HgCl2 we have to rinse for just 1 to 2 minutes, because if we will increase the timing, the mercury chloride can able to penetrate inside the cells, and these can be easily killed by the mercury chloride. So we should not increase the timing unless you are having heavy load of the microorganism on the surface of the experiment. So when we are washing with the mercury chloride, just 1 to 2 minutes is enough, and after that we have to discard the mercury chloride, and then we have to wash the explant 5 to 6 times with the sterile distilled water. After washing the explant with the sterile distilled water, now explant is ready to initiation of the culture. So this process, up to this, it will be calling the establishment. Then explant, when we are transferred, then with the explant can be adjust the environmental condition, because till that time the explant is growing inside the natural condition, and because you are taking these explant inside the laboratory condition, so it will adopt the condition or whatever artificial condition you are providing, so it will take the time to adopt it. So it will slowly respond it, and that's why we have to make explant. You have to select it from the some characteristics, and these characteristics it will be very important. Now first characters is explant age. Explant age, always you have to consider it should not be very old plant, and the mother plant, it should not be very young. So in between the age, you have middle-aged plant only suitable for the collection of the explant. Then season also having impact on the explant growth in artificial environment. When we are taking the explant from the mother plant always we have to select on the condition when the maximum growth it will be there. So when a mother plant is showing maximum growth in a particular season, so that season only we have to utilize to collect the plant size is important. Since we are doing the micro propagation, so micro propagation is rely on the size of the explant in the micrometer size, and these micrometer size cells or tissues can able to easily respond to the artificial media or environment. Then plant quality also another factor where they are hampering the micropropagation. And in the plant quality we have to see the health of the plants, and the pest is there or any weed is there under the other environmental stress condition, it should not be there. Always we have to see the our goal, what we will do when we are culturing the any specific type of portion. So when we are taking the explant, always we have to see the goal and ultimately what procedure we are going, and ultimately what is our goal. So when we are doing micropropagation through callus culture is suitable, and when we are propagating or generating the disease-free or disease-free plant, so we have to choose the meristematic cells and meristematic tissues. Then in many cases, older tissue will not be formed callus, so that's why we always have to choose the younger cells, and these younger cells can able to respond very good in the plant tissue culture condition when we are propagating the micro when we are doing micropropagation. So these younger tissues can able to give easy response when we are doing surface sterilization, and when we are transferring these tissues to the media, so they will respond very well with the artificial condition. So explant, when we are seeing, when we are taking from the mother plant, they will respond. They will also depend on the seasons. So summer season is very suitable when we are taking the explant from the nature, and when we are culturing the micropropagation or initiating the micropropagation in summer season, they will respond very well. The reason behind that, in summer the temperature is very high, so the contamination on the surface of the explant, it will be less only. So when we are taking explant, we have to always see the season, and some plant can able to propagate very good inside the summer season, and some plant can able to know they can able not able to respond in the other season. So always we have to choose the correct season when we are doing micropropagation, and in particular season only the explant can able to propagate correctly. Now size. So smaller size of the explants, if we are taking, and the size of the explant is very small, then it is very hard to culture it. If we are taking very large explant, then it will contain the more nutrient reserve, and the plant growth regulator also, it will be affect the plant growth. So always we have to choose the not very small size of explant and not very big size of explant, and the particular specific type of explant size is required for the micropropagation. And these explant size also vary from the plant to plant and species to species. So first we have to standardize the explant size, then only we will start the micropropagation. Then various portion also very important, and these numbers are denoting which portion is can able to effectively give the good result. So if you will see the meristematic tissues, which is the youngest, and they will respond very well when we are culturing these different parts. So internal differences in the hormone balance in tissue can result in the in vitro response condition. So younger plants or younger cells or tissues, they are having very less amount of growth and development, and they are very, that's why the phytohormone concentration also very less. So they will respond very well when we are growing these plant part into the artificial condition. plant quality. So it is always advisable to obtain explant from plants which are healthy as compared to plant under nutritional or water stress or plant which are exhibiting disease symptoms. So always we have to select the explant from the plant which is very healthy, and the plant always we have to avoid which is showing some disease symptoms. And if plant is in the stress condition, whether it may be a water stress or nutritional stress condition, these type of plant, if you will choose these type of plant, can able to not give the very good result in micropropagation because they are already diseased and they are already in the stress condition. So when we are culturing into the micropropagation laboratory, they will not give good results. We have to see the goals. Always we have to choose the explant according to goal. See, our ultimate goal is to produce a number of plants, so we can select many type of explant. We can choose the embryo culture, organ culture, callus culture, or cell culture. And when we are doing these different explant for the culturing purpose, so the procedure also will be vary. And ultimately we are going to produce the many plants or n number of plants. That's why we can choose according to availability of the explant and the suitability of the explant also. So always we have to see our goals, and according to our goals we have to choose the parts of the plant. So mainly for micropropagation we are using the axillary buds, and basically axillary bud we are taking from the in the morning hour, and when we are doing surface sterilization, after that the meristematic cells or tissues we are taking. These meristematic cells, they are very fastly dividing, and these fastly dividing meristematic cells or tissues we can able to propagate very fast inside the laboratory or in vitro condition. Then lateral buds also is there, and another option where the meristematic cells and tissues is present, and root tips also having meristematic cells and tissues. And if you don't have axillary bud, so that you can take the lateral buds or root tips for the separation of meristematic cells and tissues. So these meristematic cells and tissue, they will respond to very well when we are culturing, because they are very fast dividing, and when we are culturing these meristematic cells, they will respond very well when we are culturing in using in vitro condition. Other type of plant parts like leaves, stems, and root, we can culture it, but they will respond little bit slow compared to meristematic cells. Then sometime if we can able to culture the anther or ovule, so we can able to produce the haploid cells. Endosperm culture or embryo culture also we can do if it is available and suitable for the micropropagation. So if we are doing clonal propagation is the goal, then the explant will usually be a lateral or terminal part of the shoot. So clonal propagation required the very specific type of explant, and for that we are utilizing the terminal and lateral parts for the propagation purpose. If you are doing the callus induction, then you can choose the cotyledon, hypocotyle, and stem, leaf, or embryo, and they are very common to portion which you can utilize for the in vitro condition production of the callus. Plant for the callus induction are seedlings tissues from the aseptically germinated seeds or immature inflorescence. Then leaf tissues from the aseptically germinated seed. It is good source for tissues for protoplast isolation. So when we are doing protoplast isolation for fusion purpose, so that the leaf tissues is very good source for the protoplast isolation. Then if you will say our target is to germinate seeds or from the immature inflorescence, so we can easily produce the callus induction from these seedling tissues. And if you are having target to produce haploid plant, then you can take the male gametes from inside the pollens, inside the anther. And if you are taking the female ovule, and you have to choose the, you can take the entire ovary itself, or you can isolate the ovule from the ovary. So from the pollen and from the ovule you can able to produce haploid plants very easy. When you are you have to choose the explant what type of goal you are having. So according to your goal you can choose the explant. How we are doing micropropagation? So in the first step we are dividing two type of micropropagation. The micropropagation from the callus, if we are doing, we are calling indirect micropropagation. If we are doing direct micropropagation, means directly we are taking the explant from the plant, and these explant can able to propagate by the shooting and then rooting. So direct, because in between there is no callus production stage, that's why we are calling the direct micropropagation. So direct micropropagated plant production, we can take the explant from normally meristematic cells, or normally we can take the explant from the tissues which is arising from the axillary bud or shoot tips, and these shoot tips and axillary bud can able to propagate very fast. That's why they will respond very well, and the number of days we can able to reduce it up to 30 to 60 days, and in 30 to 60 days the direct propagation can able to complete. Then in direct propagation, what we are doing, we are able to produce the callus, and these callus can able to germinate and subculture, so that the number of cells we can able to produce more. And the for callus production, the leaf tissues or leaf cells is suitable, and they will respond very well when we are giving the phytohormones concentration. And when these callus is produced, and then from the callus if we are doing shooting, so these callus can able to produce shoots, and then later on we can able to produce the rooting. So two ways is there. From the callus we can able to produce shoot, or we can able to first produce the root. So from when we are producing rooting, then we can able to plant these roots producing callus into the shoot induction media, so that they can able to produce the shooting. And if you are producing shooting, then later on you have to put these shoot producing callus into the root production media, so that these shoots can able to propagate the root, and they will turn into the plant roots. So to this method, since we are using in between another stage where the callus is producing. So from plant you have to produce callus, and through callus you have to produce shooting and then rooting, and then plantlets will be produced in this method. So that's why we are calling the indirect. So inside the indirect method, first we are producing the callus, and then callus we are producing the healthy plantlets. So any number of plantlet we can able to produce when we are doing direct and indirect type of micropropagation. Then another type of explant also we can take, like anther or ovule also we can take. And if we are taking anther or ovule, we can able to produce direct shooting, or also we can able to produce the callus from the anther and ovule. And these cells can be these callus cell which is arising from the anther and ovule, they will be haploid type of cells, and through this we can able to produce haploid culture. So these three method is there. First one is direct method, second one is indirect method, and third one the haploid cells or haploid tissues production, and then later on we can able to propagate into the haploid. So if you will see, we are initiating an aseptic culture establishment we are doing, and this method is relying on the explant is first surface sterilized before being placed into the medium, and small amount of plant growth regulator also we are adding inside the media, so that plant will respond very fast, and they can be grow very fast, and we will get very fast result. So for the initiation of the plant tissues and cells, what we are doing, we are doing surface sterilization, and surface sterilization method we already discussed, and we will not discuss again. And after the surface sterilization, a small amount of the growth regulator in the media we are pouring, so that plant will respond very fast. Then transfer from the culture to the natural environment. or acclimatize. When we are taking a explant for the micropropagation purpose, and after the micropropagation you have plantlet. So these plantlet directly can't able to transfer into the natural environment. Before that we have to acclimatize, and this acclimatize we are doing into the greenhouse, and we will increase the temperature and we will decrease the humidity, and artificially we will give the condition. So we are giving the artificial condition inside the greenhouse, and so that and plant will be acclimatized on the potting compost, and they will continue the growth of the conventional method. So we have to acclimatize these plants led, and we are calling acclimatization process. So after the acclimatization only we are able to transfer the plantlets which is produced using the micropropagation technique. Then only we can able to give or transfer into the field. Now advantages of micropropagation. So micropropagation is a rapid and efficient propagation, and within the 60s to 90s days we can able to get the n number of plant or millions of plant we can able to produce from a single test. Then if you will see the other advantage, the micropropagated plant around the year we can able to propagate, and production rate will be very high when we are all around the year producing the plant. Then we can reduce the stock plant space, and the space is very less required for the micropropagating plant, because the plantlets will take very less space, and the that's why in the space less space also you can able to produce the n number of plant. Then long-term germplasm storage also you can do when you are having callus or the propagating plant. So directly you can cryoprotectant and you can put into the germplasm storage condition, and from 100 to 1000 year you can keep these germplasm, and after that you can again culture it and you can able to propagate into the healthy plant. Then production of difficult to propagate species or ornamental or medicinally important plant. So these medicinally or difficult to propagate species you can able to propagate inside the laboratory condition, and whenever you are having demand in the market you can able to produce, since you are having stored germplasm. So you have to take the germplasm inside the germplasm conservation, and you can able to just put those plant material into the fresh media. Then production of these disease-free plant also you can do when we are culturing the meristematic tissues and cells, and these meristematic tissues and cells, because they are free from the microorganism, so easily you can able to propagate disease-free plants. So plant which don't have any type of disease, any type of bacteria or viruses, easily you can able to produce these plants. Next is disadvantages, and many high advantages here, some disadvantages also there of micropropagation. Since we required a very good and high-end laboratory facility, that's why the operation of the laboratory facility is little bit costly, and technical expertise also required, and management of the in vitro condition and laboratory condition is little bit tough. Then protocol not optimized for all species is another problem, where the many plant species they will not respond when we are not standardizing their hormonal condition or media condition. So before when we are doing any plant species micropropagation, we have to optimize the protocol so that the plant material can able to respond very well to the particular one condition only. Then only we will get the good result in very fast manner. So it is a disadvantage when we don't have any optimized protocol for all the species. Then linear may not be fit industry standard. Then it may be too expensive. You will see the expertise is required and high-end laboratory operation and facilities required. So these cost will be increased, and the when we are propagating just 100 to 1000 plant, then the cost will be increased. So if we are producing millions or millions of plants, then the then only the expenses will be reduced. Now, explant, on the basis of type of explant, we are doing micropropagation, and different type of micropropagation we can do. If we are taking the seeds for the micropropagation explant, then we are calling the seed culture, because initial media is in seeds. Then if you are taking the embryos for the culture purpose, then it will be a embryo culture. Then if you are not using the agar and this culture media is a liquid media, then it will be the cells is suspended inside the suspension media, so we are calling suspension media. So this is also a type of method where we are propagating callus inside the liquid media, and suspension media we can able to get very fast and good result when we are culturing the callus inside it. Then callus also a method of the explant where we are producing organized type of cells and tissues to the callus, and these callus can able to propagate shooting and the rooting. So after the shooting and rooting, we can able to propagate millions of plantlets. Then bud culture also there, and axillary bed or shoot tip bud you can take it for the culture purpose, and because bud culture is having meristematic cells and tissues. These meristematic cells and tissues can able to respond very good, very fast when we are culturing into the artificial environment. Then next type of explant we can take organ directly, and the organ can able to produce, since we are using the micropropagation or micron size of the explant, so organ culture is not a part of the micropropagation. Then next is protoplast culture, and protoplast we know the cell wall less plant cell. Normally plant cell is the outermost layer in the cell wall. If we will remove these cell wall from the plant cell, then it will be a protoplast. So when we are taking these protoplasts as a culture purpose, we are calling protoplast culture. Then another explant we can take meristematic tissues, and these meristematic tissues or cells we can take from the axillary bud, root tip, and shoot tip. And these root tip, shoot tip, and axillary bud, they are having meristematic tissues, and these meristematic tissues or cells, they can able to divide very fast, so they can able to produce a very good fast result in shorter time. Then applications of the tissue culture. So when we are doing micropropagation, ultimate goal to produce the n number of desired plants. So for that, different type of explant we can choose, like embryo culture. We can do a meristematic tissue culture, or we can do micropropagation through direct method or indirect method. Somatic embryogenesis also we can do through the micropropagation, and where the somatic cells we are taking to produce the embryos, and those embryos can be able to regenerate into the plants, healthy plants. So somatic embryogenesis also is there, where we can able to produce the somatic embryo stem cells. So these plant tissues and cells under the stressful condition, they will be somatic and genetically modified, so they can able to produce new type of characteristics. These new type of characteristics can be very useful to farmers, and these useful type of characteristic we can utilize to develop new type of varieties for the farmers. Then anther culture for the haploid and diploid plant production is there, and haploid and diploid plants can be utilized to for the research purpose. What type different seeds can able to give the different type of, and protoplast culture also there. And protoplast we know that when the plant cells is isolating from the cell wall, and cell wall less plant cell get calling protoplast. So these type of cells we can use to fuse it with other same species or other type of species for the hybridization purpose. We are calling it protoplast culture. So germplasm conservation, we can able to conserve it very effectively, and then for 100 to 200 years we can able to preserve it. Now we'll see some important reference to this topic. So first book is Plant Cell and Tissue Culture by Indra K. Vasil and Trevor A. Thorpe. Second book is Plant Cell and Tissue Culture, a tool in biotechnology, basics and application by Carl Newman and Ashwini Kumar. Third book is Plant Cell and Tissue Culture, Methods in Molecular Biology by Jeffrey W. Pollard and John W. Walker. Then fourth book is Plant Cell and Tissue and Organ Culture Fundamentals Methods, which is a Springer Lab manual by Olaf and Gamborg and Gregory C. Phillips. And fifth book, Introduction to Plant Biotechnology by H.S. Chawla. Then some important questions. Micropropagation involves option A, small explants used for vegetative multiplication of plants. Option B, microbes used for vegetative multiplication of plants. And option C, microspores used for vegetative multiplication of plants. Option D, megaspores and microspores used for non-vegetative multiplication of plants. And next question, pick the incorrect statement. Agar is a gelling agent in plant tissue culture media. Option A is it is not digested by the enzyme of plants. Option B, it is not used in micropropagation work. Option C, does not react with media constituents. Option D, remain stable at incubation temperature. Then next question, solidifying agent that is used in plant tissue culture is option A is agar, option B is EDTA, option C cobaltous chloride, option D nicotinic acid. Then next question, protoplast can be synthesized from suspension cultures, intact tissues or callus tissues by the enzymatic treatment with option A is proteolytic enzymes, option B is both proteolytic and cellulytic enzyme, option C factiolytic enzyme, option D cellulytic enzyme. And next question, in artificial media the growth of the plant tissue culture is option A is gene expression, option B transgenesis, option C plant tissue culture, then option D is cell hybridization. You have to select any one correct answer. And next question, an excised piece of stem tissues or its leaf used in micropropagation is option A is cesium, option B is explant, option C is median, option D is microshoot. You have to select any one correct answer. And next question, protoplasts are devoid of option A cell wall, option B cell membrane, option C cell organelle, option D is cell nucleus. You have to select any one correct answer. Then next question is the plant propagation technique used grid line. So which technique is using the grid lines? Option A is cutting, option B is grafting, option C is plucking, option D is laying. You have to select any one correct answer. And last question is space is used to develop viruses-free plants. Option A is cell suspension culture, option B is protoplast culture, option C is meristem culture, option D is organ culture. So anyone you have to say the correct answer. Thank you with us. We'll see you in the next class.